So far in the Summer Showdown, we've seen some surprising matchups, but what I'm prepared for is the excitement coming out of Week 2 as we get to see more teams compete as well as other teams finishing out their matches for the qualifiers. And I'm ready to give a hot take immediately because the first match of the Paris Eternal versus the San Francisco Shock. Now, sure, it's the Shock. They're a good team, but I feel like when they lost Striker, they lost one of the best parts of the team, and I really see them falling down the tiers pretty hard, honestly. And even with getting Ons back, the team is honestly falling apart pretty well. Like, it's falling apart, and I don't see them getting this three-peat this year like a lot of people wish they wouldn't get, which I don't see that happening, because watching Ons play last week, it was very evident that he is still needing a lot of time to get reaccustomed to Overwatch. And could he possibly come back later on to prove that he really is as good as he used to be? That's yet to be seen, and he doesn't really have much time to kind of allow that to happen. You have the Countdown Cup, and then you have playoffs after this. There's not much more time for Ons to really become a better player at this point, which is why I think that even though the Shock are going to have a close game, I do think that the Paris Eternal will beat them 3-2. Justice and Rain. Rain has still been looking pretty strong, and as is the Justice in an unrestricted meta. But I do think that with the Justice's philosophy of playing Decay only for Tracer compositions and refusing to play him as a hit scan could definitely cause a lot more issues right now. With, even though Tracer is back in the limelight as a meta DPS, they're still loving to try to play Jerry over him for any hit scan role, and even sometimes doing him on the Tracer because they want to play a hit scan in another round, instead of playing Decay, who's easily one of the best hit scans in the league, as well as one of the top Tracers, and probably now the top Tracer now that Striker's gone. That could definitely be an issue for the Justice, but I do think it would still be a close match if they play Decay. Saturday, Paris, Vancouver. It's customary that Titans at least take a map. I see that happening. But other than that, Paris Eternal going 3-1. Pretty self-explanatory. Vancouver's not doing that great, and Paris is doing surprisingly well with a team that really doesn't seem like they should be doing well. You have Oni God, who's probably one of the worst players on Dallas last year. And other than that, you have a bunch of rookies who were kind of just tossed together at the last moment that not a lot of people would think would work well. And they've proven that they can actually do very well, especially with Festola taking over for Elivote after he departed the league. Dallas versus Florida. We saw in the video package by the Overwatch League of these two doing the bantering back and forth, and it's really hyping up this match, but I don't see it being all that exciting, especially since OGE is being replaced by Checkmate. It doesn't make sense at all. I don't think it's going to work, and I think Florida is definitely going to lose this pretty hard. In fact, actually, I'm going to switch that to a 3-0 because with Checkmate as the main tank, I don't see that working out for the team whatsoever. Houston versus the Shock. Again, by point of, without Striker, the Shock are a lot worse than they used to be, and Houston is a really strong team, especially when in an unrestricted meta that allows the Reinhardt composition to be played, because then you have Jonggu and Piggy who are able to play at their strengths, and that is what has carried that team all throughout the melee. And that's also why they weren't as strong in the June Joust, because they couldn't play that Reinhardt composition that allowed the team to thrive as it did with Dreamer as a replacement to Jonggu. Didn't really work out for them, even though they still do have those massive players in Dante and Happy, and they also did lose Hydration, which really, it's unfortunate, but he really wasn't needed for the team. He was played as a tank player last year over Muma because Muma is not a good tank, and they already had the DPS role filled out with Dante, so really the team didn't need him necessarily. It's unfortunate he's gone. I love Hydration. Him and Sure4 were a fantastic duo in Season 1, and I was excited to see him play a bit more on Houston, which unfortunately when he did play it wasn't that great because his main tank is not that great compared to what Jonggu and Piggy are able to do as a main tank off tank duo. The Rain versus the Fuel, they pulled off a really close game against the Fuel in the June Joust tournament, and I'm excited to see that happen again. But I'm thinking with the unrestricted meta, and there's no more bans, this could definitely be a one-sided fight in the favor of the Fuel. But Atlanta is also really good with those Reinhardt compositions, as is Dallas. Plus, we could even see Pine here, hopefully. And then we could see the sniper duel between Pine and Kai, like I was really hoping to see during the June Joust, but better late than never. But I do see it being a close one in the favor of the Fuel still. Vancouver and Houston. Coming from a Houston Outlaws simp, I'm looking to see this go 3-0. Just everyone on Vancouver gets outclassed by Houston by a large margin. Dante on heroes like Tracer and Echo easily beat out Teru by a long shot. Happy absolutely towering over Dalton and Linkser. Chung 6 and Jonggu, easy there for Jonggu. Piggy, everybody on that team is just leagues better than Vancouver, and I could see that easily being a 3-0. And potentially Vancouver not even getting a point on the board on any map, going 0 for 0 on every single map, not capturing an objective, not getting a checkpoint, not even winning a round on control. The Justice versus the Mayhem. I am actually going to swing this into the favor of the Justice now that Checkmate has been declared as their new starter for main tank. Again, my explanation from earlier about Mayhem, Checkmate kind of replacing OG is not going to be beneficial for the team at all. OG is easily one of the best players on the team, and replacing with Checkmate, it just doesn't make sense. And I could be wrong. Checkmate could be... he could become the best main tank in the league and become an MVP candidate solely because of this change. But he could also absolutely destroy the team because he is just that bad as he is on DPS. But I do think it'll still be a close one. I don't think he's going to play past map 1 for most matches. He might play during when they're facing like Vancouver or London. But other than that, I see OG kind of coming in after map 1. If he even stays as the starter, if OG just kind of takes back that spot. Going to the East, we have Fusion getting a 3-0 on the Guangzhou Charge. Uh, a lot of my explanations for East kind of aren't there because, again, I don't really follow the East region. I just kind of am basing this off of previous scores and how well teams have kind of fared in previous weeks. Fusion, although I'm actually really excited for the Fusion, and I do think they're going to start doing really well because now they have Paco, they have Funny Astro, and they also have Shockwave all in Korea with the team. So now we can actually see this Carpe and Shockwave combo for Tracer Echo. They could definitely become a top runner alongside Shanghai going into tournaments because of that really strong combination of heroes that they have. As well as Funny Astro just being Funny Astro, one of the best main healers in the game. And then just the team's general collaboration together just being very good. Hopefully with Shockwave they can actually play him and he can actually do pretty well. It's just a matter of will they play him over, say, EQO or Rascal. I think so because not only can you play Shockwave in a Tracer Echo or Ash Echo, McCree Echo, you can play him on the Mei, you can play him on the Reaper, you can play him on pretty much anything. Shockwave is a very versatile hero pool, which can provide him a lot of opportunity in the team to kind of assist and be in either a double hit scan, a double flex, or just the typical hit scan flex DPS metagame that has been kind of dominant throughout all of Overwatch League and pretty much all of Overwatch in general. Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai Dragons. I'm going to give it to Shanghai just because, again, it's Shanghai and Seoul kind of looking pretty weak last week, if I'm not mistaken. I don't actually remember. But I do see it being 3-1 just because Shanghai has always kind of been a bit over Seoul. Seoul and Guangzhou, 3-1. Just Seoul is a strong team. I'm not going to deny that. They're easily one of the strongest teams in the East region with so many high caliber players such as Prophet and Gesture in them. And Charge just not really clicking this year. Though they have bright moments. They can hit highs, but they've also hit tons of lows this year. And I see that continuing into this week, just in general. Shanghai versus Fusion. It's going to be a close one, especially with Shockwave and all them being in Korea. We could see this go either way, and I'm excited to see this happen. But that does it for the entirety of the Overwatch League Week 2 for the Summer Showdown. I can't wait for this week's matches to happen. It looks like it's going to be a very exciting weekend, and it's not going to be a bunch of either 3-0s or map 5s. It's going to be a good mixture. It's going to be a very close weekend with a lot of matches, and it's going to be a hugely exciting week for the Overwatch League.